Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Random. Egberto Willis, host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have, que vamos a tener, a very good show for you today. Welcome aboard, Michael Rutnan. Welcome aboard, Brige MCP. And, of course, there is Nanette Bird-Smith. Welcome aboard. Hey, guys. Let me see what I see here. Let me see. Michael, it's on the third week now. Sore throat, intermittent cough, and minor body aches. Now for 3 weeks, mostly just annoying symptoms. COVID negative, strep negative. Have already been to a doctor. They don't know what it is. Going to ear and nose specialist. Do another COVID. Look for a place where they do the COVID. I guess that's a good thing. Please go ahead and check that out. Egberto Willis, just read this. What do you want me to read, Brige? I don't see what you want me to read. Did you put it somewhere that I can't see it? I see. You have progressives tell Biden appointees must be diverse and free. I will read it. I will read it when I'm playing the interview today so that we can go over that. So thank you so kindly for that, Brige MCP. Para ver. Anyhow, let's go ahead and let's get busy. What's the show about today? Let's go ahead and get that onto the screen. Let's see. Today's show is author of Death to America, How We the People Screwed Ourselves. I spoke to him. I think you're going to enjoy what he has to say. And then, of course, there is Election 2020. We'll start there. We'll start talking about that. I want to also go over some things about how people are thinking, what the thought process that's going on with a lot of people that I must say, while disconcerting, I can understand, especially based on what they say. Anyhow, so author of Death to America, How We the People Screwed Ourselves. We speak to the author of that book. Election 2020 is in full vogue. Here's for today, and we're going to show you a few things that we're going to talk about today. Question: senators fail to ask Supreme Court Justice nominee Amy Coney Barrett. Topic number one with video. It's sick and it's evil. Trump's implicit coronavirus policy described by Chris Hayes. I don't know if you saw it yesterday, but we're going to kind of deconstruct that a bit. Then Ian Gurvitz has been working as a prominent television writer, director, and executive producer. He has over 300 hours of television in his credit. He is author of Death to the America. How that one I told you before. Hey, you guys remember that show at the bar? What was it called? I can't remember. Anyway, he was writer of that show as well. Come on, guys. What's the show where the guy goes and they sit down at the bar, drink beer, and there's a funny mailman there and all that good stuff? I know one of you guys are going to tell me what it is right now because you guys watch all these programs. You guys have fun with all these programs. Anyhow, I'm going to start with a piece here, folks. This is our president. This is our presidente. Check out what this guy had to say to a reporter. We know he's in trouble. We know he's in trouble. A lot of his people don't. But in as much as we know he's in trouble, the one thing I still have to go, cheers, thank you so kindly. Cheers, Daniel Ledo. Thank you, brother. Cheers, you're right. Anyhow, you got to check this out, guys. This is our great president talking about Biden. Check this out.
The president's re-election campaign is in a dire situation, and he's latched on to a closing message that echoes his 2016 campaign. Lock them up.
I think today he's staying in the basement to talk to his lawyers. They caught him, Cole. They caught him, Cole.
He should be in jail. He's a criminal, and he should be in jail.
And as far as I'm concerned, the Biden family is a criminal enterprise. It really is. Look at what's going on. It's a criminal. You know, I don't know what's going on.
Campaign strategy seems to be to call Biden a criminal. Why is that?
He is a criminal. He's a criminal. He got caught. Read his laptop. And you know who's a criminal? You're a criminal for not reporting it. You are a criminal for not reporting it. Let me tell you something. Joe Biden is a criminal, and he's been a criminal for a long time. And you're a criminal in the media for not reporting it.
In other words, folks, the president wants Joe Biden in jail. The president wants the media in jail. Does that ring a bell to anybody? You see, I'm from Central America. I understand how these things work. You know, America is seeing a new thing. this is something completely anathema to Americans. But those of us from overseas, those of us from places like in Central America and other places, we understand exactly what is going on here. And I know everybody wants the media to cover the Biden story just like they covered Benghazi, just like they covered these other things. But what we learned from Benghazi and what we learned from the email stuff is, wait a minute, is Hillary Clinton in jail yet? No, why? Because Hillary Clinton is not doing anything different than what the president's daughter is doing with emails, right? I remember when they all went and started talking about she had a server in her basement. And that was the crazy thing, right? Oh, she was cheating with the emails. Where are the emails? As if the server. I am a computer guy. I write programs. I do all that kind of stuff before I started doing this full time. And this is what always got me with the Hillary Clinton and emails. And I want you guys to listen to this keenly, right? That was never a story about Hillary Clinton being able to hide anything by having a personal server. Because every server talks to something else. And her personal server spoke to the DOD. Her personal server spoke to all these other computers, right? Which means every email that was really on her computer was also on other computers that's going through America's big pipe. So there was really nothing to hide. And there was a part of the government that always had all that stuff. They didn't need her server. This was all media hype that the right wing also was able to turn into hype because of the ignorance of the media. If they had come out and said, wait a minute, you mean if Hillary Clinton sent a piece of mail from her server to any office or any foreign government or anything, could we have seen that? The answer is yes. Are those emails out there? Yes. Why aren't they found? Nobody wants them to be found because there's nothing to see. And that is what nobody ever spoke about. It was all a sham. Benghazi, as far as these stories, though, what they want to do is they want to create confusion with Biden's son. Was Biden's son on drugs? Yeah. Was a lot of other people on drugs? Yeah. Donald Trump is the perfect person for projection. Projection means look at all the bad things I am doing and try to project that onto someone else. And he is good at that. How did he do that? Well, the Biden family is a criminal family. Why? Because the Trump family is a criminal family. They are avoiding taxes. They are laundering money. They are doing all these things. But in order for you to take your eyes off of that, they deflect. Look at the Biden family. No, look, Biden is a neoliberal. Biden's son took advantage of his father's name to get deals all over the world. Trump's family do the same thing too. But they also do a lot of illegal things, right? So what I'm trying to tell you folks is this was all smoke and mirrors, and they waited for 2 weeks before the election because they thought the media would be as silly as it was with the Hillary Clinton emails. But they got preempted because the FBI comes out and they say, oh, by the way, all that information that went to Giuliani, it's really a Russian plant. And we knew it was going to happen, and we knew when it was happening as well. We knew all of that. The FBI went to Donald Trump and said, Donald Trump, Rudy is getting a lot of information from a Russian plant where they mix up true information along intermingled with false information to give it plausibility. That information went from Trump's FBI to Trump. But Trump doesn't want to hear it because he needs an October surprise. Well, it turned out the October surprise turned into a dud when only Fox News, along with Bartiromo and Senator Johnson, tries to create this image. And then comes the guy from CNN. Bartiromo. Let me go ahead and see if I can find that for you. Bartiromo and Johnson. And he comes out and he says, oh, this is crap what they're talking about. And I need. Let's see if I can find it here. I think I may have it here. Para ver, para ver, para ver. Well, I can't quite find it right now, but let's see. I can't find it right now. At some other time, I'll be able to show you that. Anyhow, so when you start hearing about the QAnon stuff, when you start hearing about Hunter Biden and all, remember it's just junk. Remember, is Hunter Biden like super clean and all that good stuff? I don't know, nor do I care. Is Biden super clean and all? Well, compared to Donald Trump, Biden is a saint. But is he, so I mean, these are things. What we need to have in this country is a change. We need a change of direction. We need a change that's going to give us, progressives, the ability to take back the country. And that is where we're heading to right now. Now, one of the people that are going to be, that we are going to have to mitigate is Amy Coney Barrett. And I want to show you what a friend of mine sent me, and let's take it on the other side after that. Folks, at Politics Done Right, I have really some of the best listeners, followers, supporters, members, you name it, at this program. And, when a lot of times you guys send me things and I highlight it either on my blogs or we talk about it on the radio. This one, I have to highlight every word. There's this man, Tim Donaghy. We worked together at the coffee party for a while, and he has been an ardent supporter of Politics Done Right. And, he every time he needs to vent or whatever, he sends me a little note or something. And this note he sent me about the exchange with a senator and Coney Barrett, right, the Supreme Court Justice nominee. And he sent me this one, and I looked at it, and I said, well, hell, I didn't read his note very well. I just read the whole dialogue, and I said, wow, I didn't hear anybody ask the judge this. I wonder what senator he's talking about. And then I read his title, and it was, I would have liked to see a senator do this. So I said to myself, damn, you're right. This is good. So let me go ahead and read what the dialogue that he wanted to see. And it shows you exactly the reason why we should not have a Coney Barrett on the Supreme Court. Check this out. The senator asks, Judge Barrett, you have identified yourself as a constitutional originalist like your mentor Anton Scalia, correct? Barrett responds, yes. Senator asks, would this country be well served by having 9 originalists on the Supreme Court? Barrett drinks a little bit of water, clears her throat. I think a diversity of opinions is always a good thing. The senator then asks her, can you think of a case where your mentor, Justice Scalia, ever wavered from their originalist interpretation of the law? Barrett thinks for a while and she says, nothing comes to mind. The senator then asks, can you think of any time other originalists like Alito, Thomas, and Gorsuch or Kavanaugh waved from their originalism? Barrett said, no, sir, nothing comes to mind. But, the senator then said, so effectively, 6 originalists would not generally reflect a diversity of opinion, right? Barrett responds, I don't know if that's true. The senator then asks, if it is true, then it would be bad for the country to have a block of 6 originalists reflecting a single interpretation on the Supreme Court, right? Barrett responds, I wouldn't say that. The senator then asks, then what number of originalists on the Supreme Court would allow a diversity of interpretations? Barrett answers, I can't answer that. The senator then says, then I can't support your nomination because what makes America great lies in our diversity. Diversity of race, diversity of culture, diversity of thought. This extends to the diversity of judicial interpretation. Monoculturalism, racial purity, and interpretive litmus tests for Supreme Court nominees have no place in America. I seek a nominee who is balanced, who understands fairness, who expresses free thinking. And Judge Barrett, you are not that nominee. Tim Donaghy, I also wish I had seen that exchange, an exchange that only occurred in your mind, and an exchange that I would have liked to have heard myself. Folks, what are your thoughts? Anyhow, so that's where we're at. Now, yesterday there was a piece that I saw on what was the program? Chris Hayes. And on that piece, it was funny because we start finally seeing people give a hard hit on the craziness that is occurring with Donald Trump's response to the coronavirus. And I think it's important, right? Because, I mean, people are dying. People are actually dying because of the incompetence of Donald Trump. We have to get him out of there fast, but until we get him out there, we are going to have to take more personal responsibility. Check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side. We touched on this subject before, but I think this one is a bit more in-depth, given that Sebelius, the former secretary, is real apt in the subject. It's about herd immunity and a bit more. Let's take a listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side.
You know, from the political perspective, it sounds cartoonish or ridiculous to say that right now there's an election between one candidate who wants more people to get sick and one candidate who wants fewer people to get sick. But that is really what the choice is at this point.
Well, it seems to be absolutely the choice. When you have a president who, from February till now, has denied the seriousness of this virus, denied hasn't shown any willingness to mobilize a national strategy, and now is repeating what is really bad information, having gotten the virus himself, having said he learned something from getting the virus. He seems to have learned absolutely nothing. So he's actually pushing for other people to get sick. He's pushing out information that is just wrong and false according to public health.
I mean, I want to play this clip of Atlas because I just want to be clear on this. This is not a kind of hyperbole. Like, it is actually the theory of Scott Atlas, and I think now Donald Trump, particularly post having gotten COVID and getting hundreds of thousands of dollars of the top medical care provided by public money, that getting COVID, a lot of people getting COVID is affirmatively good. Like, that is the actual stated position of Scott Atlas. He says we've got to protect people in nursing homes and vulnerable populations, but the more people get it, the better. Listen to what he said on April 27th during his tape audition for the White House. Take a listen.
We have a chance to have people develop their own antibodies and eventually have enough people have these antibodies to block the sort of network of progression and contagion to the people who are vulnerable. That's exactly the same reason why we give widespread vaccines, to induce this so-called herd immunity.
Difference between vaccines and getting COVID, vaccines for polio and getting polio, is that you get the antibodies without the polio. But this seems to be the theory of the case, is that, well, what if we just got everybody sick?
Scott Atlas has flipped herd immunity on its head. Herd immunity is about all of us getting vaccinated, so that people who can't take a vaccine, like children under 6 months, can't get a flu vaccine, which is why an entire family group who is around a baby is urged strongly to get the vaccine to protect someone. It's not about making people sick so they protect themselves. And the numbers of deaths that we would have to suffer to get to any kind of herd immunity is not hundreds of thousands, it's millions of Americans. And what Scott Atlas seems to be saying is that's just fine, and now Donald Trump is repeating that. What we could watch is in the White House. The White House had its own super spreader event and then refused to do contact tracing, so you couldn't track how many cases ultimately were seeded by that event. But it's a great example of people who just ignore social distancing, ignore wearing a mask, are now defiantly saying, oh, my heavens, don't listen to the scientists, threatening Anthony Fauci, who is the world's foremost expert on infectious diseases, and suggesting everybody in the country should just get sick. And some people will die, yeah, but a lot of people won't die, and that would really be better. It is so shocking.
I'll say the words that you wouldn't. It's sick and it's evil is what it is.
Look, folks, China GDP is not flat. It's not negative. It's growing. We can look at Taiwan. We can look at New Zealand, whose prime minister just got reelected in a landslide because of how good she followed the science. She shut her country down when she needed to for a short period of time. She did all the kind of contact tracing that was necessary. And she put the country, or she has the country without any substantial notion of COVID-19. We have someone in our White House that is, it's a comedian playing a president that has caused the death of over 220,000 Americans, and by election time will likely approach 300, well, probably 250 to 300,000 people. We're about to enter a bad period because we have done nothing right to mitigate what's going on. If we want to maintain this status quo, where our economy remains defunct, where we remain in a depression, the only way that can happen, if the people who know what's right don't go out there and vote. So we have to get out there and vote and do the right thing. Because if we have another year of this, we better be helped by the universe. Because there's nothing good that can come out to having a leader that is non-scientific and a leader that is taking you directly into the ground. It's like crashing an airliner into the ground. We can do better. All right, folks, you know what time it is. We're almost at the halfway mark. So therefore, I want to ask those of you that are on YouTube, please go ahead and click that join button and become a part of the family, become a part of the posse. A lot of perks there for you if you go ahead and join. So please go ahead and click that join button if you are on Facebook. If you are on YouTube. And if you do it now, and I see that marker comes up that say, yeah, you got a new member, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to call you out and say, hey, new member, come on in. We've been picking up a few every day. I thank you guys so kindly, but let's keep it rolling. Let's keep it rolling. Folks, it's worth it. How to talk to your right-wing relatives, friends, and neighbors. Doing pretty well at Amazon. We need to keep it going to make sure we can continue this programming going. I mean, we have to get all our different ways of supporting the program. Please go to that Amazon link that I just placed in there. If you want to get the book, that's a direct Amazon link to the book. You can get it. Now, you can also purchase the book directly from our store, which is at politicsdoneright.com/store. Again, that is politicsdoneright.com/store. For some reason, Facebook didn't get the book link, so I'm going to put the Amazon link back in again, see if Facebook would take it this time. So please go ahead and get it at the store. Now, for those of you that are currently listening on Facebook but would like to become a member of our YouTube posse, here is the link to do so. I'm putting it out to Facebook, Periscope, and Twitch. There is that link, politicsdoneright.com/YouTube. politicsdoneright.com/YouTube. Those of you that want to provide support via Patreon. Patreon is our premier supporting software, if you will, the software that's run by another company that helps support Politics Done Right. That is politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. Patreon is spelled Patreon. And, of course, PayPal we support. Go to politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. We cannot do this without you, so please click on that join button. Become a member of our YouTube posse. You'll be supporting all the videos that we do every day. You'll be supporting all the blogging we do all day. You'll be supporting all the activism we do throughout the year. We cannot survive without you. Okay, without further ado, I bring you Ian Gurvitz. Here to you today. is in line. Al Rose, is this Al Rose, my brother, mi hermano de Panamá? Si eres mi hermano de Panamá, escríbalo allá adentro. Okay, let's go ahead and listen to Ian Gurvitz. Here we go. Welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. I'm here today with a special guest, Ian Gurvitz. Ian, how are you doing today?
Good, man. How you doing?
I am doing great, folks.
We're hanging in. Watch it.
You're hanging in. We have a slight delay, so let me just kind of bring you in properly. We are sure you know the name Ian Gurvitz, as he has been working as a prominent television writer, director, and executive producer. You know, there are over 300 hours of television that is credited to him. I mean, that's a big repertoire. A native New Yorker who, since arriving in Hollywood, has worked on such professional hits as Wings, Becker, The Wonder Years, Get a Life, and Frasier. Who can forget Frasier? Between staff jobs, he's had studio term deals at New World, TriStar, NBC Studios, and Paramount. In addition to working on television, Gurvitz has written 5 books and continues to contribute essays on subjects such as politics and religion to the Huffington Post and the Los Angeles Times. You can always reach him on Twitter at IGURVITZ. Folks, we are going to talk a lot about politics today, but specifically as well, death to America, how we the people screwed ourselves. Ian, how you doing, buddy?
That's it. Good. Just, day by day these days. I don't have any nails left.
Yeah, I know. I tell you, especially since you can't be out there all of the time. I gave a little short intro about you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, like you said, I've been in LA. I'm a New Yorker living in exile in LA for the last 30 years and working on TV and made an indie movie like 15 years ago. Write books as well, including the last 3, which have been about politics. Starting in like 2016, put out a book that had an F-bomb in the title, Welcome to Dumblankistan, to do with the state of our political situation, sort of inspired by Sarah Palin. And the fact that, it just shocked out of me that we would even entertain the possibility of something that stupid and ill-equipped for higher office. But, I ended that one like 6 months before the election when it was Trump, but I figured, like most sane people, that Hillary would take it. Turned out that didn't happen. So after that, I just had to put the anger somewhere. So I wrote a book called Freak Out in 2017, which sort of described what I was doing. And that had to do with what happened and where are we going to go from here. And, so I spent the next 3 years screaming at my TV. And then I finally switched over to screaming at my laptop, and out came this book called Death to America. The title was pre-COVID. It had to do with the fact that this guy was killing our democracy. Post-COVID, it took on a little overtone as well. Now he's actually killing Americans. See what shakes out in the next 3 weeks, whether we sober up or not. Because the bottom line is, even if he pulled out 78,000 votes last time in Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, the sad fact is that 63 million people pulled the lever for this guy, and it was very clear who and what he was then. But 63 million Americans said, yeah, that's my guy. And I don't care what the polls say right now. I don't believe anything. Nothing's done till it's done. And this guy never quits. So,
that's so true. This guy,
this
guy never quits. Now, let me just say one thing, because I'm a political junkie, do political shows all of the times. And what I try to tell people is I want everybody to have your caution, first of all, that you don't care. It's not over until it's over. Secondly, what I want people to do is go out there and vote. In other words, no fear, go out there and vote. But thirdly, I want to let them know that Trump is not magic. Trump did not pull out something magical in 2016. The polls had, look, our country is a misogynistic country. It is a sexist country. There's a whole lot of things that make our country what it is. And those were factors involved in the 2016 election. And we actually came within the polls. Every poll has something called a margin of error. if you have all the intrinsics that Hillary had, there's a good chance that she was going to come in on the losing side of the margin of error. And many of us spoke about that. So I don't want to put a fear in people. But what I love that you did with your book, and your table of contents says it all. Mr. You know how, or you know who goes to Washington. And folks, it starts with an SH. And since this is also going to be on Pacifica Radio, that's the reason I'm not really getting as bad as I really want to get. So tell us, who is Mr. SH?
Yeah, look, basically, we found the worst person in this country, and we gave him the most important job on the planet. And it was perfectly clear who and what he was from the second he came, well, even before he came down that escalator, you know, and insulted immigrants as rapists and murderers. You know, it goes back to the Central Park Five and the ads he took out. You know, it goes back to his disgusting birther movement, that the media was complicit in giving him a platform. Major networks and major TV anchors sat him down for interviews and asked him, what is this birther thing? And how do you know? And at the time he said, I've got people crawling all over, investigators all over Hawaii, and what they're finding is unbelievable. So, you know, what'd they find? Nothing, because there was never anything there, and they should have known that. And after that, I blame the media because they aired those rallies in their entirety, from start to finish. They gave him free airtime. The only thing they should have done is run a 5-second clip with a crawl underneath that said deranged racist maniac loose in local arena. And that should have been the story. But they legitimized somebody illegitimate.
Let me tell you, first of all, I love the phrase, and I love what they should have run, what you say they should have run underneath, you know, but I mean, I don't know if you remember I think it was the president or vice president of CBS. They figured that this guy was so good for the eyeballs, so good for the ratings, that they were willing to prostitute the country to make a whole lot of money. So that's why we talk about, we are considered here the alternate media. That's why your book, this book that you have, this actually book that I want everybody to read, it's a rough book, but it's a necessary book, Death to America, How We, the People, Screwed Ourselves. Get this book before the election if you ever have an intent on voting for Donald Trump. But let me tell you, that's why we have an alternate media, because we are not looking for the money from prostituting our country. We are looking to elevate it. I love what you have, the rise of the Third Reich. And I guess he probably was the genesis or sort of the fertilizer for bringing that to fold. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, you know, you remember that run he did. I've got the best people.
Yes.
You know, he was going to drain the swamp, but instead, what he did was fill it with the swampiest swamp critters that he could find. People who were just incompetent or whose mission in life was antithetical, like who we put in the EPA, like who we put as Secretary of Education, Betsy DeVos, this crazy Jesus freak. You know, Rick Perry is Secretary of Energy, the guy who said in an earlier campaign that he was going to close it, although in the moment
he couldn't remember.
He forgot that he was going to close it. Yeah, to close the Department of Energy. You know, and then even though he's gone, I have to sit back and remember that he was in charge of the nukes for a while. So, how many of these people have either quit, been fired, been arrested, been convicted? You know, he's taken the worst of the worst and brought them into government. So when people like to say government doesn't work, it works if you get the right people. It doesn't work when your intent is to do what Steve Bannon claimed, which was to deconstruct the administrative state, essentially blow up government. So how could it work? And then you turn around and you see what happened with coronavirus. That's how it doesn't work. When you get in there and it comes hoax his way through this because he didn't like the effect it was having on the stock market. And he's played that hand and what, 200 and how many? 20,000
220,000
so far?
8,000. Yes, 220,000. Now, let me ask you something, Ian, because you go ahead and I like your chapter, that the chapter that you have, President Tweedy and the Great American Mind F. Now, that is an important thing, because where in the world would we conduct government communication by tweet? Tell me a little bit about that.
This is his favorite mode of communication is Twitter, because he can just let his id run wild. So, but the thing is, the Washington Post has had this running tab of, he's 15,000 lies, 18 lies, 20,000 lies. And they seem like they're making a point, which they are, but I think there's another point you have to make, which is that every time this guy opens his mouth, he's telling the truth. And the truth is whatever I can make you think it is. So if I can make you think, like he's trying lately, we're actually turning a corner on COVID and it's going to go away and it's going to disappear like magic, he keeps saying it. And if he can keep saying it, one contradicts him in the moment, it goes out as fact. At least Savannah Guthrie busted him on a few things during that town hall. But if you don't catch him in that moment, like that comment about 85% of people wearing masks get the virus, and she said, no, it's not true. But he repeated it again. He's not used to getting busted. And if he gets busted, sometimes he'll pivot and go, well, that's what I heard, and he'll run away from it. But if he can sneak this stuff in and get a few people to believe it, he's won. And when you look at these rallies, people actually, it's like they're running, lemmings running toward a cliff. They're running toward the disease and gathering together and breathing all over each other, because he made it a way to almost defy the government by refusing to wear a mask. I mean, could you imagine?
Let me just say, and I'm using this because it helps us with the delay. I think there's something important there, right? As far as running towards the cliff that you talk about. And you talk about how Savannah Guthrie, what really got him to confess. But I think it's something a little bit deeper. I think, and I started telling people that I really feel sorry for the president, because I think the president is ill. I don't think the president can help himself. I don't think he can help himself with the lies. I don't think he can help living in that imaginary bubble. And the real danger of him is bringing everybody else into that bubble. Your thoughts on that?
I agree with you. I think he is deranged, but that's on us. We put him there. It was clear what he was and who he was from the beginning, but he pulled off the greatest con in American history. And now the question is if he can pull this off again.
I want to ask you something important, because you said that we did it, meaning we, the individual people. Now, this country is sort of a duopoly right now. We have two different parties. I sit back and fight with myself. I just wrote my own book called It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Families, and so forth. Okay, that was the whole idea. And the idea is that I separate the politician from the people, and the politician as the brainwasher many times, and the people who are able to get brainwashed. Let me ask you your thoughts on, don't you think we probably need to give those people a place to land, because they're so invested in Donald Trump that if they think leaving Donald Trump mean total annihilation of everything they believed in, that there's an issue there? Thoughts on that?
I think a lot of these people were re-empowered by Trump, especially non-college educated men. And I think it was an Obama blowback. They lost their sense of self under Obama, and he gave it back. He made it okay to say and do certain things that we were trying to grow past as a society. Now I've had a few conversations with some Trump supporters, and at some point it's like we can't agree. But here's the thing, in my neighborhood, over the past month, there have been 2 caravans, not just guys, families, kids in trucks, coming up and down my street, honking their horns, waving flags, with who knows if they had paintball guns. This was like a big show of bravado. Now, if Joe Biden wins, I'm not going to get in my Jeep and go to their neighborhoods and start blasting my horn. I don't need that. I don't need it to feel like things maybe are right with the word. I don't need it to rub anyone's face in it. If there's a landing pad, yeah, I hope there is, because part of the premise that short of secession, we're stuck with each other.
Exactly. That is that is the important point, right? That we're stuck with each other. Now, you said, and a lot of people I hear say it, a lot of people say that these people feel empowered, and who are the people that feel empowered? Most of them are those who are not college educated. And I wonder sometimes, because I think I know there are a lot of college educated people who are on the Trump bandwagon, not because they like Trump, but because Trump is willing to take away from the masses and give it to the few. And that is their point of view. And they look at the other Trumpsters as the fools that are helping them. How do we separate them so that, because if they are good at, they think that they can divide and conquer by race. Seemed to me like we have a bigger chunk if we can divide and conquer by class. Your thoughts?
Look, it's class, it's money. I think with the bulk of his supporters, it's their fragile egos have been empowered. With another small group, they like those tax cuts.
Right.
So yeah, it's good for the stock market. But the fact of the matter is, even his economic advisor at the time, who was instrumental in those tax cuts to get the corporate rate down to like 21%, he's come out and said, we may have to kick it up to like 28 because the money's got to come from somewhere. So
right.
This is at least the kind of thinking that acknowledges we have to raise taxes and we have to use it for the good of the country. Now, who we elect, those people decide what is the good of the country. I love that some people are scared to death because they think Joe Biden is some crazy socialist. First of all, he's a centrist Democrat, if ever there was one. And secondly, even the craziest socialists come January 2021, they're going to be facing an economic catastrophe like Biden and Obama faced in 2009.
Worse.
And on top of that, a virus it will not be gone, that will still be killing people. And the virus and the economy are inextricably linked. We can't go back to anything resembling our lives until this thing gets under control.
I want to combine two of your paragraphs, chapter 5 and chapter 6 and chapter 7. Welcome to the Terror Dome, and Democrats suck at politics. Why do I want to put those together? Because I think the only reason under conditions that are this bad, we should have Terror Dome is because the party that is opposing that which is causing the Terror Dome sucks in the form of how it campaigns to win when adversity is when it should have a win at its back. Your thoughts?
As far as the Terror Dome, it was, even in 2017, I looked ahead and thought this would be the ugliest election in our history, and it's proving to be just that. He has said he won't commit to accepting the results of the election. Like he said in 2016, I'll accept the results of the election if I win, which is sort of like heads I win, tails you lose.
Yes.
He's got his supposedly, poll watchers heading to, and he picked out Philly in 2016 and he picked it out again. We maybe need to get some people to make sure everything is, nothing crooked's going on. What in the world do you think you're going to catch? People running in, voting, going out, changing clothes, put on a fake mustache with fake ID and running back. He says these things that make no sense, and the media never busts him on it. He says what's going on with the ballots, and it's crazy with dogs and cats and dead people, everybody. He just rambles, but he's trying to put the stink on mail-in voting as a precursor to attack state by state if the results are close. So, the chances of him losing and then conceding on election night or soon after, I think are very slim. And if he is getting blown out, my guess is he's got the Trump jet gassed up and he's got some of the immediate family ready to go. If I were Eric Trump, I would be double checking on where that plane is because I don't think he's going to get the invite. He's going to be on that plane, midnight flight to Moscow. As far as Democrats go, we don't know how to go for the throat. We think that every election is about ideas and plans. And I love Elizabeth Warren, but during the primaries, I've got a plan for this, I got a plan for that. They're not about plans. It's about inspiring people. It's about reaching people emotionally. But Democrats, thank God for the Lincoln Project and Republican voters against Trump. They're doing hardcore ads that the Democratic Party just doesn't seem to be able to do. Now, Biden, I think he has to stay on the high road, because there was a moment where I thought, maybe we're settling for this guy. But then I thought about it some more. And what I think is that we reached out to this guy. And it's an emotional reaction for someone who is intelligent, experienced, empathetic, and just decent. I think most Americans are craving decency from the White House and in government.
Let me tell you something, Ian. First of all, you're right. I am not a Biden fan, and I became a Biden fan in the way the campaign is being run for the most part. I am disappointed in the way the other organizations that are supposed to be supporting the candidates, external of the candidate, the type of ads that you're running. You're absolutely right. Thanks for RVAT and the Lincoln Project. They are doing a good, the hard-hitting job done. That said, like I said, in my case, I'm a lot more left than Biden is, but Biden is somebody who will look at what things, how things need to move forward. Now, you're a writer. The job that you have, the pulse of America, the shows that you've written for, these were well-received shows, which means you have somehow had the pulse of America. I expect a landslide. My question to you is, how are the writers in Hollywood gonna communicate? Because you guys have a job to do after this is over. You have to find a way with your funny pieces, with your documentaries and all of that, to help bring us back together. What's your intent on that?
Once we get past stage one relief, and again, knock wood, if it happens.
It will.
Yes. If we get past relief, and if we get past the momentary need to rub it in somebody's face who you knew who wouldn't shut up about Trump, hopefully that will get through that pretty quickly. But after that, I think we're into pragmatic solutions to real problems. This virus will still be in our lives. The economy will still be in the tank. People will be out of work. It's not like electing a Democrat. All it does is slam the brakes on disaster.
Right.
And Donald Trump, and I'm a New Yorker, and when he uses this word, I know what he means, and I use it too. He is an effing disaster. All I would say to Republicans right now is, if you think you're tired of all that winning he said you were going to do, look out the window. How's life? Use Reagan's comment. Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? Can you go to work? Do you have a job? Can you pay your bills? Are your kids in school? Can you take your kids to the movies? Can you go out with a family for dinner? Can you meet a friend for a beer? Can you go to a bar and watch a baseball or football game? Life has become abnormal, and it's this guy's fault 100%.
I've got two last questions. The first is, tell me a little bit about the 7 sins that gave us Trump, and sort of in a quick shot way, and then I have a last thing for you.
It's our love of money and the fact that we equate money with goodness. There's a little Calvinist side to that. It is fame and what he did on The Apprentice that legitimized him. It sold us. He's 300 pounds of Trump steaks, and The Apprentice sold us that as a real businessman. It's our silly notion of freedom, which we think is the same as license. I can do whatever I want. I don't have to wear a mask and you can't stop me. As opposed to freedom being something we experience individually and share collectively. We need each other to live as free people. There's a problem, I think, with our understanding of religion and what the nature of this is. Look at those Supreme Court hearings. There's a little frightening religious undertone to her that scares the hell out of me. But it's how we have been taught, how we think, the values we have that we think are American that aren't. Patriotism is not about flags and, jets flying overhead at football games and color guards and songs. Those are just symbols of more important concepts about a way to live based on freedom. But like I said, it's something we have as individuals, but something we need each other to guarantee.
Now, what didn't I ask you that you would have liked me to ask you?
I think you covered it all. You know, it's basically this is a fight for the soul of the country, you know, and I don't understand people who, you know, maybe in 2016, I get it. Hillary was bashed for 2 years. A lot of people said, I hate him, but I can't stand her. And maybe we need a businessman. He'll shake things up. So I almost get some people. I comprehend it. I don't understand it, but I comprehend it. Now, even if he's floating around in the high 30s or low 40s, I do not understand those people.
I know.
This is the biggest disaster we have ever had in my lifetime. And he cannot hoax his way out. He can't tap dance or lie his way out. You know, Truman said the buck stops here. With Trump, the buck stops everywhere else. And he's just shucking and jiving and tap dancing and hoping to just like entertain his way to re-election. You know, the other night, I forget, he was down south, maybe in Macon, you know, and said, if I may have to leave the country if you don't elect me. And my thought was, I'll give you a ride to the airport. You know, whatever I can do, just get out and leave this country alone. You were a mistake. You were a bad marriage. You know, you were the hooker we married and woke up with the next morning and looked around and said, oh, I don't know if this was a good idea. What's this ring on my hand? Who is this person? You know, you got to go. And I hope the American people are smart enough to get rid of him.
I think they are. I think they are. Death to America. How we the people screwed ourselves. Ian Gurvitz, it was my pleasure to have you on Politics Done Right. Thank you so kindly.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
All right, folks, time to give all my folks a great whatever. Welcome aboard, Daniel Lado, Lee Grant, Brige MCP, Tank 28, Paul Fleming. Those were the first 5 down below. I'm keeping them growing. I'm going up. Michael Rudnin, welcome aboard. Mike Cisak, welcome aboard. Hey, Mike, I have a friend that remember you were talking about we're going to have an interview with you, Mike Cisak, and Carl Smith. He's waiting for you. Bruce Pollard, welcome aboard, my brother. Bruce Pollard, welcome aboard. Let's see who else is here. Paul Fleming, welcome aboard. I'm going up the list. Let's see. Para ver. Man, it's a lot of messages, man. Daniel Ledo, I think I got you already. Let's see who. Al Rose, my brother from Panama. ¿Cómo estás, hermano mío? Going up. Let's see. Brige MCP, I think I got you already. Daniel Ledo, I got you. Who else is here? Norman Reynolds, welcome aboard. Let's see, and I'm not almost to the top yet. John Cotter, how you doing, John Cotter? Hell of an activist here in town. Welcome aboard, John. Let's see. Nanette Bird Smith, welcome aboard. I think I called you out earlier before I started this new call out. Beatrice Small, welcome aboard. And if I miss you, please just drop me another message that comes at the bottom of the line so I can call you out. I think I got everybody. If I missed you, I am so sorry, but I like to get all my folks called out. I think I got everybody. Let me get back to the bottom. A few messages just came back in. I don't know if it's from YouTube or where. Okay, great. Lee Grant, I think I got you. Okay, we have about 2 minutes, actually about 2 minutes to go. I think there was a message that touched on me, and I can't remember which one it is. I'm looking for it right now. It says, Egberto hopes to teach them, but they are impervious to evidence. They're not impervious to evidence. What happens, and I noticed that with a conversation I had with a friend on Facebook. He's very much to the right. And he looked at me and he said, I said, oh, TV's informing you incorrectly. Get off of Fox News. And then he said, I don't watch TV at all. And then in my mind, I sat back and like, oh my God. He doesn't watch TV at all, so he doesn't get a chance to channel surf so he can see alternative points of view. He uses Facebook, which pretty much puts you in a silo by making sure you only see messages of your, messages that conform to what you want to see. And then he's on some right-wing website. So, of course, he has a different reality that's also telling him how bad these other sources of information are. We have a big job to do. The first thing we have to do is find some commonality where we can actually grow from that. I have a lot of that in the book as well. But it's important because it isn't that these yes, they are living in an alternate state of reality. But you know what's funny? I just saw one of my right-wing brothers in here say that we are living in an alternate state of reality. And the reason they can say that is because they have learned new metrics. I mean, the metrics don't make any sense, but they have learned new metrics. Like I hear that farmers are doing well. Well, if I have one agribusiness that's considered a farmer and 9 farmers, and the agribusiness makes $900 million, and the other 10 farmers make $10 million, right? It looks, when you divide it by 10, that each farmer made $1 billion. But in reality, the other farmers are doing very poorly. But in the aggregate, when they're reporting it, farmers are doing well. Go to Iowa, go to Wisconsin, go to all these places, and you understand the dire straits that the country is in. All right, folks, if you're on Facebook, please remember to click that join button. Become a part of our YouTube posse. Very important. Daniel Ledo says, so how does Egberto explain someone like me who listens to his lies and still disagree? Because I haven't made the sale. I have not yet made the sale to you, Mr. Ledo. And notice, Ledo, you give me hell through my blogs, through my page, everywhere. And not once have I ever contemplated blocking you or taking you out of the fold. You know why? Because one day, something is going to happen that your mind, your subconscious mind. Mary McKay Curo, welcome aboard. And I love what you have to say. I have faith in the soul of Americans. We are better than this. That's the statement of the day. I have faith in the soul of Americans. We are better than this. The statement of the day, Maria. Statement of the day. But anyhow, the reason I block no one, the reason I don't do any of that, I ask people who can't stand folks on my page and don't want to hear from, you guys can personally stop yourself from seeing them. But any day I stop communicating with them, it means I will never, ever, ever be able to make a difference. No, you and I haven't been in constant conversation for 15 years. We haven't gone out to coffee and all that kind of stuff. One of these days, Daniel Ledo, right now you'll be kicking and screaming, no, I don't want to have coffee with you. I know you're going to say that, Daniel. But any day, if you have the courage or the pelotas to say, all right, Egberto, let's go ahead and have an objective cup of coffee where we can speak, go one for one without having to impress anybody on any side. We'll see what would happen then. I've had people look, I've spoken to people that are a hell of a lot tougher than you. I'm talking people with AK-15 or what? AR-15s, okay? And we've come out of conversations doing just fine. So I don't think I would have a problem with you. So anyhow, folks, we got to get out of here. Please go get my book. Go get me. Vaya a conseguir mi libro, por favor. My new book. The ratings are good. Okay, check it out. I'm putting the link in there. It is. Para ver. Vete ahí, hombre. All right, bear with me a second. I need to go ahead and put the link in there. It looks like I'm not going to get that link in there because it doesn't want me to put my link in there, but I am going to try anyway. I'm going to try to put a link in there. Okay. I'm going, using the wrong. Hey, I have 3 keyboards on the screen, buddies. I have 3 keyboards on the screen, and they're fighting with the keyboard and putting the wrong one in. All right, there is the link to the book. That's the Amazon link to the book. Please go check it out. And let's see what else I need to do. I need to get that link out to Facebook. And from there, all right, all done. Folks, if you are on YouTube, click that join button, become a part of the family. If you are on, let's see what's the other, on Facebook, just go ahead and go to politicsdoneright.com/YouTube. I got to get out of here. I'm over time. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you know how I end this, baby. I am what? Out. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number one, subscribe to our channel, and number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.